Well, the CEO of Microsoft is backtracking on comments he made yesterday about women at work and when they should get a raise. Satya Nadella was asked to give advice to women in technology who are uncomfortable asking for raises. Listen to what he said.
It's not really about asking for the raise, but knowing and having faith that the system will actually give you the right raises as you go along. And that, I think, might be one of the additional superpowers that, quite frankly, women who don't ask for a raise have. Because that's good karma. It'll come back. Because somebody's going to know that's the kind of person that I want to trust. That's the kind of person that I want to really give more responsibility to.
Let me tell you a story about myself, because I actually, this is one of the very few things I disagree with you on.
That was Maria Klawe there, disagreeing with the Microsoft CEO. Dr. Klawe is a prominent advocate for women in technology. She's formerly the Dean of Science at the University of British Columbia. Now she's the president of Harvey College in California. Maria Klawe is on the Microsoft Board of Directors to boot, and she joins me now live from Phoenix. Maria Klawe, what story were you telling him at that moment? And first of all, though, what was your reaction when you heard him say that?
Well, we had been talking for 45 minutes, and he had been incredibly, wonderfully enthusiastic about women in technology. And I know Satya quite well. He's an amazing leader. And I was so happy to have him there as the first male plenary speaker at the Grace Hopper Celebration of Women in Computing, that when he said that, I'm sort of like, oh. And I felt that, you know, I felt that I had to disagree with him, because I do disagree with him. I do a lot of coaching of women to help them ask for raises or negotiate a better salary when they're moving into a new position. And one of the reasons I do the coaching is I'm so bad at it myself. There have been a number of times I've taken a position without really doing my homework and finding out what a reasonable salary would be, or taken a position where I was pretty sure they were underpaying me and I didn't say anything about it. So for those reasons, I felt that it was important to just push back.
Well, you did well. Do you think it was karma and superpowers that helped you get to where you are today?
I think there is some karma and superpowers. I do believe I'm a superpower. I've been fortunate in that I have had some wonderful mentors during my career, both men and women. I've had an incredibly supportive husband, Nick Pippinger, and supportive kids who are now 29 and 32, and I can't believe it, and doing amazingly well themselves. And of course, I've worked hard, and I've been willing to learn from failure. So one of the things I want to say about Satya Nadella is, you know, there are not too many CEOs who, when they blow it, which he did yesterday, actually are willing to send out an email to all of their employees saying, I answered that question wrongly. I understand that. It was a learning moment for me. Yeah. And I'm so proud of him for doing that. Yeah. That's just, many CEOs will never admit that they made a mistake. And I happen to believe that we all make mistakes, and the best thing you can do for making a mistake is to learn from it.
It wasn't, though, like he was making a joke. He explained it in great detail, as we just heard, saying that he respected people more who did that. That's what I took from it. I wonder if, you know, sometimes we say things and it's not until we say them we realize that we hold some sort of prejudice inside of ourselves. Is he the type of individual who will examine his own feelings about women asking for raises going forward?
So one of the things I want to clarify is Satya wasn't making that comment to women. He was making it to all human beings. He would have said the same thing if I'd asked him about men. So that's the first thing I want to say. It was not a gender-specific remark. The second thing I want to say is we all bring a perspective that comes from our upbringing. And he was raised in South India in a culture where you should not ask for things for yourself. And I will say that to a certain extent, I was raised that way too, and so are many women. And so he was answering from his own personal perspective. What he has learned over the last 24 hours is, so perhaps it would be wonderful if we had a society where everyone was fairly recognized for their contributions. But unfortunately, that's not the society, at least in North America, Canada and US, where that's what happens. What happens is if you don't ask, you generally don't get.
Yeah.
And the people who do ask generally are better paid and get better resources, get promotions, and get more recognition. And so sorry, go ahead, Carol.
No, I was going to say there are some studies. I've read some pieces on this recently where they say, and this is an interesting point you've made, where people are raised, women in particular, raised not to ask for themselves or on behalf of themselves. But some men and other women raised that way too, so that when women do actually get up the guts to say, I deserve a raise, here's why I deserve more, they're almost looked upon differently, negatively, than men who ask for that.
Yes, it's very true that, and as somebody who regularly gets into trouble because I'm assertive and outspoken and I push hard for things, and I'm pretty sure I wouldn't get into nearly as much trouble if I were male. I think there is this bias towards seeing women who are assertive and who are willing to ask for appropriately the resources that they should receive, whether it's, more staff or higher salary or an opportunity to take on more responsibility. There is a reaction from both men and women that, oh, she's pushy. She's, the B word. Mm-hmm. There are several B words that are inappropriate that I won't say on the air. And I think one of the things that I've had to learn is if I'm going to ask, I actually need to ask or if I'm going to disagree with somebody, I should disagree in a softer way than might be my normal reaction, because I'm going to be more effective. So it's one of the things I talk with senior women a lot about, is learning a variety of skills about how you respond to situations where you are going to either push back or ask for something, and doing so in a way that everyone in the room will actually be able to decode. Because if I do it in too assertive a way, they just won't hear it.
And do you think that's gender specific to women, or men asking in the same way would get a different result?
It's gender specific.
Okay.
Excuse me.
Specific,
it's gender specific to women for sure. I'm lucky to know many senior women who are very successful in their careers, both in academia and in industry, and we talk about it. And it's one of the reasons I coach women, because I think that learning a way that you can be perceived as highly responsible, thoughtful, wise, balanced, all of those kinds of things, it takes some work, because when you're in junior stages of your career, you have to be assertive.
Mm-hmm. So give me an example of how a woman might do that. Let's say I'm asking you, I want to go in for a raise. Tell me what I should do. In a nutshell, give me the 30-second coaching version of what you would tell somebody.
So the first thing I'm going to say is, I want you to do your homework. So I want you to have some examples of people who are being paid at the level you want to pay, who have a similar background and set of achievements and responsibilities. So that's the first thing. And there are a number, now that we have the internet and the webs everywhere, there are lots of sites where you can actually go and get that data. So first of all, get the data. Then, put you want to phrase it the following way. You want to say, I absolutely love my job. I love what I'm doing. I love the contribution I'm being able to make to CBC, one of the great, broadcasting corporations in the world. I love the opportunities I have to have an impact. Here are some of the things I think have done done for CBC that have really made a difference for the corporation. And what I've come to realize is that the salary I'm currently receiving is a bit less than what others who have similar levels of responsibility and impact are receiving. And I know that this company really wants to treat women and pay women as well as they pay men. And it's one of the values that our company holds. And I'm sure that if you actually do a check, you'll understand that this is a reasonable request, and I really appreciate your taking it seriously and taking my information and going and doing the due diligence.
All right, so that's the softness and the technique and the making the other person feel good. That has to be very gender specific when women ask for things.
Yes, did that sound okay?
Yeah. Do we ask that question after? Did that sound okay?
Absolutely.
We have to leave it there. Maria Klawe, by the way, did you talk to Sat about what he had said? Have you had a chance to talk to him yet?
I haven't had the chance to talk to him about that, but I did ask him yesterday if he would commit to come to the Grace Hopper Celebration of Computing every year for the next 4 years, and he said yes. And, you know, for me, and this was already after he knew about all of this stuff blowing up, and the fact that he is so committed to coming and learning and to being an advocate for women in tech careers, it just, to me, shows what an amazing leader he truly is.
All right. Maria Klawe, we'll leave it there on that note. A member of the Microsoft Board of Directors who had interviewed the CEO yesterday and openly said she disagreed with him. He disagreed with himself at the end of the day. Thank you for joining me from Phoenix.
Thank you, Carol.
Okay, take care.